some instances in order to be able to use all their property. You know, and it's kind of like we were talking about having Brissette as a special, yeah, whatever. It's special. You know, because of what, you know.
Special subdivision.
Well, it's because of lack of enforcement of zoning over the years. I mean, you can drive in any county and see that these are zoning-like communities. And, you know, this is what, it was back off the beaten path, and that was the norm back then, and now it's not. But you gotta be able to let everybody use their property accordingly, you know. You know, you just can't let them be more out of line than what they already are, you know. Because there's conforming and non-conforming. You know, you can't let them be more non-conforming than what they already are. You know, so it's Brissette Beach is just, and I'm just, as our fire chief has said, if something happens down there,
It's all gone.
it's gone because there's nowhere. They can't get out, we can't get in. You know, I mean that's just even on Linwood Road. I mean that's 24 feet wide. You know, and most of the time when two cars are coming, somebody's got to move off to the side. You know, I know I got several comments the day we were moving because there was 3 trucks and 6 guys there. You know, so luckily I had a big enough parking lot they could drive through the parking lot to go by. But what else are you going to do? You know, they're up on the grass and everything else. But it's just how things work. You know, Killarney Beach was the same way. I mean, heck, those roads used to go right around trees and up. You can knock on somebody's porch when you're going by, kind of like Brissette, you know.
You know, you said the key words, conforming and non-conforming, you know, that's everything.
Correct, right. So, anyway, yeah.
Make somebody guilty or not guilty, sometimes.
Right. So anyway, yes, I appreciate, that's what we've been looking, just a direction, you know, like, okay, what is somebody else doing? How does that fit? Is this what we really want to do? Look over the thing for a month and just write all sorts of comments, and then we'll come back and just start at one part and go through it and see what the heck happens. So, cool.
Check that one off.
Yes, sir. New business. We'll have the new meeting dates up for the next couple of years.
We need to make a motion to accept those meeting dates.
Oh, sure. Thank you. So we need to make a motion to accept the posted meeting dates for 24 and 25.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. No correspondence, board meeting report. That. And then I have, there's a meeting dates. Speaking of the zoning administrator, no report from him. Planning consultant, anything else you want to add, or we good?
Do you have anything else at this point?
No, just what we talked about. We have our schedule set for making notices and all the other stuff and getting everything out. So I think we'll be good there.
Should be here at the next meeting.
Yes.
With definitions for junkyard and salvage too?
We can start working on that.
Yeah, I was just wondering.
I'll send her some things. It's like, okay, we need to look at, besides that, I mean, just definitions in general. I mean, once we get that taken care of, then we can go, because that's what I said, we had to do that in Auburn, because a third of the definitions didn't come into play with how things are used today, or were so outdated that they just, you know, somebody came in and wanted to do something, okay, well, our definition doesn't cover that, so it's pretty much wide open. So we just want to make sure we're covered and it encompasses everything. In the meantime, I said I'm going to look up, see what minutes are there from May to October 15. Get her a copy of that so we can look at, go like, okay, what happened? How did this happen? What got incorporated?
Yeah,
And for what reason?
It shows
As said, before when we first started this, like, I have no idea, cause I've only been here for X, you know. So, and I was also told that some of that stuff we couldn't discuss because there was ongoing litigation, just what I was told. So it's like, you know, that's the thing, but I've been more than happy to look it up because I wanna know what happened and how some of the stuff got streamlined, just like we did in Auburn, because certain things didn't carry through. But I don't know those, so I'd like to find out. And, you know, so we'll make those public and go back and look, and I'll talk to Sherry next week and get a copy of that, so. Public comment, you got any more?
Yeah. It's just in reference to that, just so that, you know, excuse me, I'm sorry. But when we do go through this, I just want to make sure that if there is any question, this is the township's history that we're talking about. This is my grandfather, my father. This is history that sits in the vault of the township. Trustees like Mr. Campbell can't get in there. Planning commission members can't get in there.
Well,
Planning
this is
consultants.
fast. When I went to go look them up when all this started with Hoyle's property, I went and talked to Sherry, got the book out, and that's when I went through
Yeah.
and made a list from April through, went all the way through to April the following year on both the planning board and the board.
Yep.
So I could see, okay, if this was done, then what was sent to the board.
I totally,
So, yeah. So
Mr.
if
Fletcher,
you
I
can, yeah.
agree 100% on. I wish that some of that history was in there, but some of the history has been misplaced or whatnot. But
Okay.
it does matter that I do know from talking with other Spicer officials that they keep good records at their facilities
Okay.
on who they work for. I have friends on other planning commissions in Bay County who are even chairs and other members, and they seem to be able to access those records from Spicer. Now, I don't believe Colin gets that ease of getting records from Spicer. It'd be nice to see, because I know that there's a lot of correspondences that it took in 2015. Once Mr. Bean became, he took the place of somebody in 2015 who was here.
Okay.
And it's in the minutes of the township, but when I got to look at Spicer's bills, they actually showed everything. So it's like, I just would like to see that the Township Planning Commission gets to see those correspondences to understand what changed. And like I said, there's only one person here who was on that board then. And I'm sure those records are around. But, I mean, with electronic records, pretty much, I mean, it's on a Google Drive or something
Well,
somewhere.
they've been putting, bit by bit, we've been putting our stuff, because I get in my emails, this been updated, that's been updated, because to go in and look through all the papers, you know, and all that crap,
I mean-
and now it's electronic, so you can scan through it, so
Right,
it's a lot
and
easier.
before Mr. Davison let me into the vault, those records weren't available to me or my family or my family's attorneys. So when the sheriff's department did their report, they stated in there that this was against all of the stuff, the subpoena, the FOIA, you name it, this stuff all should have been provided. Now, I can tell you it's on the second shelf down from the top on the left-hand side when you go in there. And when me and Sam first went in there, there was tabs on these. And he grabbed them and he goes, oh, they say docket and junkyard on them. Okay. I took pictures of all of it. I sat at this table. Mr. Davison let me take pictures of it. So the person who did go through those files went through them for a subpoena file. They didn't provide them. So, and even the judge requested them, and they weren't provided by the township attorney. So,
That part,
but that lawsuit's over, okay?
Right.
And that was a violation that shouldn't have been. What I'm saying is, when you have a book, and it don't matter who it is, when you're representing these laws, you guys pointed out so much in your conversations there with the effort to enforce, okay? If the zoning administrator cared and he had effort to enforce, he would show up at these meetings he's supposed to.
that's,
He's never here, never.
I understand that, and
You know,
I know that, that's been one of my
So when it
gripes
comes to
too, so.
enforcement and effort, I believe you guys should be putting the sheriff's department to all of this. I mean, I really truly do. If somebody is breaking this type of law and they have the possibility of jail time, which it shows in your ordinance, they have possibility of that. That's something that should be done by,
Well, and part of our thing is we don't, and I've expressed that before even to our attorneys, like, okay, so we have habitual offenders that they pay their $100 or $150 and they move on and do the same crap.
Exactly.
There's no teeth to our stuff.
correct.
So they just, okay, fine, it's worth $100, I can keep on doing what I'm doing, and 6 months or a year later, I'll clean it up a little bit and go back what I'm doing. I mean, that's the other part that we need to look at.
I couldn't agree
And
more.
our attorney has kind of, you know,
And
he's,
it makes making these laws and ordinances worthless if
It's
you're not
frustrating.
gonna enforce them.
to be, all
You
set
know,
on
it makes Spicer being here, or any of us being here, worthless if we're not gonna enforce them.
Correct.
You know, it makes the Board of Appeals worthless if there's not an enforcer.
Right. Well,
You know,
I totally
It's-
agree with that.
And they're
So-
supposed to be the highest level of enforcement, I believe there is. You
Because
know?
they take what we say and then they apply the, you know, the common sense to that, and does it work? And
Correct,
Yeah.
and that's the one thing that I'd love to see is, let's get the common sense back into some of this stuff, because if it's written right, the enforcement should be simple.
well, and that's
I
why,
think the biggest problem is, though, the difference between a general law township and a charter. Because a charter has more teeth to be able to do things, and it's
but we can
it's
write,
regulated differently.
I couldn't disagree more with that, but, I mean, that's my opinion on general and charter. I think you guys are fine in general with your population. I don't think there's any reason.
Well, actually, the state notified the township we could become a charter, and Greg said we didn't want to, which is not the way that was supposed to be. It was supposed to come by the full board, according to the MCLs in the state of down in Lansing, and it never happened, because we have the population, we have the dollar amount now, and that would give us an opportunity to also draw certain other grant dollars to this township to help us to fix some of the stuff that's broken.
But fixing the stuff that's broken, Charlie, and the rest of the board, it's enforcement. It's somebody being here that's competent of their job. And I will tell you this, I'm not a fan of Mr. Braggle, but he was at these meetings when he was the zoning administrator. I'm not a fan of, you know, what he was about, but he was here. Mr. Sabayas, he was here most of the time when, I mean, I'll admit, I'd seen him miss some meetings, but when it came down to it, I think he's one of the most knowledgeable people that was ever in this township to actually explain the zoning ordinance to the person he's trying to enforce it to. So when you're a building inspector like he is and an enforcer, and you can understand laws of the state of Michigan as I'm a builder, I understand those laws and I have to do my job. And if somebody's there that's competent that I can talk to, like Fred Schmidt, all that he'll tell me is, I'm doing this for a favor for Sam. That's it. You know how many times I've heard that out of him? Multiple times when I talk to Fred. And so if he's doing it for a favor for Sam, this is for the people. This is for the people. This is for the community. That's who you're supposed to enforce this for. Any of you who have private interest in this shouldn't be here. It should be for the community.
I understand that fully. That's
I
why I
mean-
got involved in government.
But I just mean that when I look at this and I see a zoning administrator who's never here, and yet you guys are here making the laws for him to do, it makes no sense that we continue to make laws that can't be enforced. It's
That's part of the issue between 4
It's
trustees
senseless.
versus 2 trustees. 7 trustees versus 5 trustees. That's the difference. As with 7, it's a lot harder to control just what happens versus when there's 5.
It's still who bases their moral aspects on the law in the future of the community based on what the community wants, not what just a few people want. You know, and I understand what you're saying there. Your votes aren't there for what the community wants sometimes. I totally agree. 100%. That's why I'm running for supervisor. Is because I do believe that some things are controlled by a few when they should be controlled by many. You know, and I totally get that, and I appreciate you guys listening to me. And Jen, I appreciate, you know, you listening too. But one of your representatives from Spicer did say at the last meeting, he would get with me, took my information down. Did he? No.
Can you tell me who that was?
He was at the Linwood, site, that's all he told me.
Oh, Glenwood Metro Water?
He was at the Linwood Metro Water thing, and he came here,
And you've been here with
and he
him.
sat in here, and he said, hey, I'll get back with you.
Mark Ron.
And, he was a very nice individual, but he goes, I'll get back with you on all this, I promise, and he took my stuff down, and still waiting.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other comment? Good. Okay, next meeting is January 11th, 2024. Make a motion to adjourn at 7:59.
Second.
Okay, second. And cool. All adjourned. Thank you.
So Rick, are you in Larkin?
Yep.
So if you look at Larkin's
Within
ordinance,
within 30 feet of Larkin. On the other side of Conway is a divider for.
because Larkin does have a junkyard ordinance that's very good. I mean, and it'll come up on Google. Yeah, here's what it is, but if you were to literally go through this, and this is from 2012, okay?
How far off is this thing?
Oh, it's way off.
Okay, I don't know what way off means.
I provided the ordinance of 1984.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And if you could get that ordinance, Jerry, I can provide it to you if you gave me your email. I mean, then you have that option, but I will say that I did provide this to the board multiple times.
That's fine.
I mean, Gary.
But is this off that block?
Yeah,
Or what part's that?
everything that we